Hi, you've reached Call Your Publicist, your go-to source for PR moves, media moments, and brand strategies that keep businesses and people in the headlines for the right reasons. I'm one of your hosts, Jenna Guarneri, CEO and founder of JMG Public Relations.
And I'm your co-host, Alexandra Anastasio. Let's start talking.
First podcast.
I know, it's so exciting. We've been having this conversation, I want to say for almost 2 years that I've been saying you should do a podcast. And now we're doing a podcast. But I think it's exciting. We're taking those conversations that we have about business and we're kind of now bringing them to the forefront, but we're doing it on a mic at the table as opposed to off camera, offline.
And I love that we're kind of exposing the behind the scenes to PR because I think there's so many questions about what is PR. So this is going to be a podcast that's for business owners, startup companies, individuals who just want to learn about PR. And we're going to bring to the table these conversations with these thought leaders, these expert voices to really gain more exposure about how do brands get to where they are and how do they use PR as a tactic.
Absolutely. I think really our goal is to show people or explain to people the art of storytelling, right? And how you can master that strategic communication, which will elevate your company, your brand, your business, and really help people take things to the next level.
100%. And I'm so happy we're doing this together because like you said, you've been telling me I need to do this and I've been on the fence for that long about this and you've got me here. And I'm so happy I'm doing it with you because we have such a good history together.
We do.
And so you're the head of content at JMG right now. But you and I go back 10 years because it's our 10-year anniversary.
Yes.
And we've known each other that long at this point.
You had just started the company when we met. And I remember because I had recently gotten laid off from my job, which for me was devastating. It was known for me, like what was going to happen next. And at the time, like I said, you were starting your business. You had one of your first clients. I was freelancing for that client. It was a magazine. And I happened to decide to go to one of the meetings and you were there and we kind of just connected based off of, we lived in the same place. Not the same house, but we lived in the same.
Good clarifier.
Yes. I don't want people to say, what's going on? No, but we did. We lived in the same town and we just started talking and I think we just clicked. And then from there, I think we set a time to go for a drink or something. We got together.
Many drinks later.
I know.
How many?
There are
a lot. Been a lot. But I think there's also that power of connecting, right? And realizing when there's people in the room, you never know who you're going to meet or what that relationship can turn into.
Absolutely.
And I'm so grateful we did. And we leaned into that because we found such a good support system through everything.
Absolutely. And then from there, I just remember I was fascinated by what you were doing. We had a lot of big events that came through this and we did them together. I remember I used to say to you, well, if you need any help, I'll help you out. And even though I was attending, I don't even want to say as a guest, but yeah, basically as a guest, I was more drawn to what you were doing. And so I would help you and your team out. And then obviously once that job was done, we would enjoy the parties. And there were many of them.
I mean, you have such great stories from these too. And not just, in general, because you have an incredible background. I mean, we need to talk about that for a second. Celebrity writer. I mean,
that was fun.
You've interviewed some A-list celebrities, which will remain nameless right now, unless you wanted to dive into that. But there's been so many amazing stories and opportunities that you've had with that. Is there anything that's been like a favorite moment or, you don't have to say who is your favorite. Do you have a scenario that you can share with us that is like one of those rare situations?
So favorite wise, I would say, and I won't name names, but a lot of times when you admire somebody and you want to talk to them just in general, right? You're like, oh, I would love to be able to talk to so-and-so. But then it doesn't always pan out the way you hope it would. So I used to always say, I never want to meet the people that I love, right? The job that I had gotten laid off from worked in the industry, so to speak. I worked it was talent. I'll just say that. And so there was a lot of opportunities to meet people and I just didn't want to. So spill it over here. A lot of the interviews I did were more conversational. They were on the phone. So I didn't have to be face to face, but there was one person in particular. I just happened to love this person. And I always thought, well, I would love to be able to talk to them. And so I just randomly pitched their publicist, who agreed not only to the interview, but we were going to meet this person in person. If you remember, I'll just drop a little hints. We were at a casino I think that was in Connecticut.
I think so.
We had the photo shoot, and the interview did not happen in person. Thank God. I was so nervous, but there wasn't enough time for the shoot and the interview. So I got to speak to this person like 2 days later. Thankfully, I'll say it was a he, was everything I hoped he would be.
Nice.
He was so nice. He might have been more nervous than I was, which in terms of he didn't like to give interviews. He wasn't comfortable. And you would be, he gives them, but he's more comfortable up on stage than he is doing this.
Which is fascinating. A lot of these celebrities, they're comfortable in their element, but take them out and it's different setting for them.
Right.
It's almost like they play a person.
100%. And he was fantastic. And so after that conversation, I just thought, okay, this could be, for me, one of the best I've done. That, and then the very first interview I ever did that was a celebrity, was with somebody that I grew up like loving. So to be on the phone with this person, I don't think I could have done it in person. I think I would have I will name drop. It was with Rob Lowe. I have to name drop that. Growing up for me, that was it. And if he was in person, I don't know how I would have got through it. On the phone, I was so nervous. I remember jotting down like what he was saying.
Yeah.
My palms were literally sweating, and I was like, what if I drop the pen? How am I going to keep up with all this?
This is before Zoom, obviously.
This was before Zoom.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I don't even know if I could have done it over Zoom. I don't know if I could have looked at his face.
Right. Well, isn't it funny how the medium changes your experience and how it helps take away nerves?
Yep.
Right? Like a lot of clients, they can do a Zoom interview now.
Yeah.
Or put them in a studio and even for me too, right? Completely out of my element at that point, right? And the nerves just get super heightened. So having that face to face for you was that version of anxiety.
Absolutely. And I think bringing it and tying it into PR, why it's important when we work with clients that they do media training is for when they're on the other side, right? So I'm, as the interviewer, if I have somebody who's nervous or who doesn't really give much, that's difficult for me as the journalist, right? So if you, as the business, the brand, are trained and you have a media team, a PR team that guides you, you're going to be comfortable in those situations.
I know. And people don't realize how much work goes into, say, an interview you see on TV, right? The preparation of that expert be years in advance. Even TV hosts are constantly getting media trained because there's always something new to work on. You can never perfect that.
No.
And every person is different. What they need to work on is completely different, whether it's their inflection, whether it's their nerves, whether it's the way they look at the camera and their level of comfort. Everybody's different.
Absolutely.
And I love that we can talk about these things and hopefully give tips to people when they're listening.
I hope so, because I think a lot of people think that this is easy.
Right.
And that, especially if you're doing a Zoom interview, right? You think, oh, I'm just going to sit behind my computer and we're just going to start talking. The problem is sometimes you don't know, where are you looking? Are you speaking? Are you enunciating? Are you sharing what you need to share, like in the right way? You know, it's not just like, oh, I'm home, so I could do this behind a computer. You have to visually feel like you're there. So I think that can be nerve-wracking too, especially when you don't know what's going to be asked of you. So I think if you're trained properly, because that's the other thing, you could be asked a question that you're unprepared to answer, or you're not allowed to answer, or you don't have the information for, but there are certain ways that you should respond to that.
Right. Pivot around it.
Yep. And if you don't know how to do that, you're going to get caught. When I say caught, you're going to be stumped.
Right. It's the deer in the headlights look you'll give. Yep. And there's that awkward pause. There's the and it's the clear, oh, that person doesn't know how to answer that.
Exactly.
You lose credibility.
You get nervous and you start rambling.
Oh, I hate that. And then they don't know how to cut you off because there's no window for them to jump in. Yeah.
And you may say something that you shouldn't. And then your PR team is sweating because now they know.
There's so many instances where like, oh, why did they say that?
Exactly.
And then afterwards you're like trying to do damage control. Can you remove that from the interview, please?
Exactly.
Unless it's live.
Exactly. So then it makes your PR team working a little extra to reach out to that journalist or that media outlet and say, that's off the record. We got to strike this. Please do not publish that.
Right.
So I think that's one of the importance. And I hope that people who listen to us, tune into us, the tips that we share, will be able to take some of those and apply them, especially for these smaller companies, smaller brands who are just starting out. They're they may not be able to bring in a team right away,
Right.
which is why you wrote your book,
Right.
to be able to help them, right? You need PR.
So subtle.
Yes. But seriously, where there's information, whether it's through a book, whether it's through a podcast or a social post, when those tips are being dropped, you really need to be screenshotting them, bookmarking them, whatever it is, because eventually you're going to need to bring in that PR team.
Right.
But until you can, you really need to find, I'm going to call it the tribe of experts who can help you get from point A to point B. And that's what we do.
Right.
But if you can't bring us on yet, you need to follow us.
Absolutely. And if you think about it too, right, in just this conversation alone, we're talking about Zoom interviews, we're talking about back in the day with events, right, keeps changing and evolving. I mean, when I started, when we first met, PR was all about, celebrities and red carpets and tons of events and things in person and the glitz and the glam. And after COVID, everything changed and it transitioned and became, now the media world is remote and then PR teams are remote and you can work from anywhere. And now there's less events depending on the industry, right? You're not pushing events anymore, right? Celebrity events aren't as popular, we'll say, in terms of as a PR tactic.
That's true.
For some industries it is, like beauty and things like that, but that's what we're leaning on anymore. Now we're focusing on the stories and the storytelling, right? And we've become our own storytellers, right? Even for our brand, that's important to us. And you, as the head of content and our team, have been focusing on that because even though we're a PR company, we need to have a brand.
Absolutely. Right? And I think I feel like we've had a lot of conversations, but I just remember it started when we started talking about your book, if you remember. And I could literally, I think it was like the end of January. We were at dinner.
I was going to say, we're going to tell the same stories at the same restaurant.
Yep. Okay. It was a Friday night. I'll never forget. And you were telling me you were excited. Yeah. It was a few months before the book was going to launch and you were talking about it. And I could see your excitement. And I said to you, well, what are you doing to promote it besides obviously press release and, the standard PR? And I said, well, what about social? How is that, is there a dedicated Instagram page? How are you highlighting the website? We started talking about that. And then it was like, so then we started working on that together. But then it was almost like a light bulb. Okay, how do we now help people? And when we say people, like our PR clients, help them tell their story. Because when you put it out in PR, right, we're getting those press interviews, you're getting them those moments, those TV moments. How do we make those last a little longer, right? And so that's where social comes in. It's the art of storytelling, really. So how do we tell your story and continue to tell your story?
And tell it in new and innovative ways, because you could tell the same story over and over again, but it sounds different. Right. It sounds fresh and it sounds exciting, or it's tailored to a specific message, right? Messaging is so important, and that helps you tell the story, but you have to know who you are as a brand.
Absolutely.
Before you do any of that.
Right. And I think last year and now as we move into this year, we've really been doing it with the company as well, right? Because that was something else I said. Look at JMG as the brand itself, right? We're helping everyone else, which is our goal. But we need to show, right, that we know what we're doing. And how do we do that? By doing it for ourselves. And then we started doing it for you as the founder and CEO. Because again, you want to lead by example, right? So when you look at someone and you say, okay, well, I'm going to trust you to take me from here to here, but why should I trust you to take me from here to here? So if I know you're doing it for yourself, well, then you obviously know how to do it.
Exactly.
So,
right. And that's important too. And I think that's an important distinction between being a business owner and authority in this space. And I think you get more credibility as an authority, but what does that mean? And how do you tell people you're an authority? You can't just tell people you're an authority. You have to show them, but and lead by example.
I'm a thought leader.
I'm a thought leader. Could you imagine? In your LinkedIn bio, I'm a thought leader.
That is going to be my new title, thought leader.
We make hats for that.
Exactly. No, but I think that's what we're doing for clients, right? We're helping you establish that authority in your industry. You want to be the person that sets the precedence. You want to be the person that people come to, right? When you think of, I don't know, if you think of beauty, there might be certain brands you go to, right? Or you think of fitness, certain people you turn to. So why not, when it's PR, there's that person you think of, or whatever the space you're in. You want to be that person, that expert voice, giving the information, the knowledge. Again, it takes time, right? It's something you have to build. And that's what we do with our clients. We help build it. nobody knows how to do it and you can't do it from day one.
No, and it's a long-term process, but and everyone is always so eager because they want those results right away, right? That ROI,
Instant.
instant. And that's our culture is everyone wants everything on demand.
Yep.
However, PR has not been able to speed up in that way.
No.
So it's a long-term process and it takes a lot of energy, a lot of strategy, a lot of content development. There's a lot that goes into it because brand awareness is this thing up in the air. You can't put it down on paper and clearly define how to execute it. Right. Well, I guess you could come up with a plan, but we don't know if you'll get the same
Right.
results.
You're always going to have a strategy of
Mm-hmm.
like a roadmap, but I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it always deviates, right?
Of
Like
course.
even for ourselves, when we start, I think you could say this about anything in life where you start on the road and you're going this way, but something then happens and you then
Pivot.
say, all right, you know
Mm-hmm.
what? It's taking me this way, but there's a reason why. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's what businesses and brands we see. We see what works and what doesn't. And that I think is what makes it exciting. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
obviously you've been doing this for a long time. It has to excite you, the business in general.
Oh, for sure. I love business in general, right? And I love being able to work with other founders and other business owners because you learn so much across the board, right? And there's so much that goes into it. And PR is not just about, oh, it's a media placement, right? It's how do you grow that brand through your PR, through your exposure. It could be your investors like to see media coverage. Your investors want to see you in tier one media outlets. They want to see you on TV. It helps with SEO, right? There's so much that goes into it and helps growing the brand. And that's where I personally thrive and love. It's seeing the results over the long term, of
Right.
course. Right. But there's so many nuances that go into it. And you can be so creative in the PR process.
Absolutely. And I think too, what I find exciting, and I'm sure you are going to agree, when you have a client and you've taken them, right, you help them grow and they start to see themselves in
Mm-hmm.
the media, whether it's in print, on a podcast, or covered by, say a national TV show. The excitement that comes from them, just knowing that you helped get them there, that to me is no better feeling, right? When a client says to you, like, oh my God, thank you for helping me get on X or helping
Mm-hmm.
me, get this in this
It's
paper.
all worthwhile when you hear those
Exactly.
things. And that's why, right, on our Slack channel, Slack in general is huge for us, but there's one channel devoted to these little tidbits of hearing from clients. And it's
Right.
like, it makes it all your job so much more worth it. And and then that's why I love working with the faces of the brand, the founders, because you get those little details. You don't get that with
Absolutely.
corporations.
No, and I think when you can really talk to that CEO and
Mm-hmm.
you can get that feedback and know that, you're helping them. I mean, we just had a client who was recognized huge in their industry. And knowing that the work that we're doing is
Mm-hmm.
helping them get that recognition is beyond, like, to me, at the end of the day, no matter what stresses you go through, when you see those wins, it makes it worth it.
100%. 100%. What
So.
is your favorite part of what you do?
Well, I mean, I have a lot of favorite parts, but I mean, just because overall, I've always loved obviously telling a story, right? So
Mm-hmm.
for me, when I'm writing and I'm telling someone's story, I'm doing it through the written word, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now I get to help other people tell their story in a different way, right? So I think for me, my favorite part is being able to be creative. And what does that look like? It's different with every client. And it's different. I mean, I get to be creative with our company, right? With our brand and helping put out materials that showcase who we are. Then I
Mm-hmm.
get to help our clients figure out, how do we make you shine? How do we get you to stand out? And whether it's through a social post, whether it's through a video clip, maybe it's a speaking engagement. I mean, there's so much content is so broad
Mm-hmm.
and there's so much we can do, but it has to fit the client
Yeah.
because not no one's the same. No client is the same. No client should be the same. So finding what makes you tick
Mm-hmm.
and how do we bring it to the forefront, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even for yourself, I've loved seeing you step out of your comfort zone, which
I
I
know,
know you
because
are.
I'm an introvert at heart.
Yes.
That is who I am.
But I love that we've been able to help you embrace that
Mm-hmm.
and really put out content to connect
Right.
because it's
And
all about connecting.
right. And then that I'm comfortable with too.
Right.
Right. Because you have to read, I guess, the client as you treat me like a client.
100%. You are in the content department. You are not just our CEO and founder, you are our client. And
Yeah.
that's how we have to look at you
Right.
because we're putting the same strategies into place
Mm-hmm.
with our clients that we are for us, meaning you and the company. So
Yeah.
that's how you grow. We're all It's all about growing.
Yeah.
For anybody.
And I do love that you keep saying we, because it's so important to have the right team in place for not just the strategy and your PR campaign or content development, but just teams in general and to grow a business, right? We've been so lucky to have such an awesome team working with us. Everyone's devoted. Everyone is enthusiastic about their work.
100%.
And that's including, at the top of what you were talking about is having the right tribe with you, right? To be able to do your dreams and put your dreams together and put the strategies in place, because that's such an important part of the process.
Absolutely. And it's like anything, we're not all experts in everything, right? I'm definitely not an expert in a lot of things, but that's why you have the people, you surround yourself with people who make you better, right? So our clients are surrounding themselves with us, their PR team, to help them better their business or better themselves if it's, say, just a CEO we're working with. Or a business or a brand. But then internally, we have to surround ourselves, right? So like content and PR, we work hand in hand. So that's how we both help elevate our client, right? We could have the same client as the PR team, but PR is doing their magic. We're doing our magic. And then we come together to make sure that our client's shining in all aspects.
Right.
And I think you can't do that alone, meaning I know I can't do that alone. So if I didn't have the team, the content team that I had, this wouldn't work because no one person, I think, can do it by themselves.
No, it's a lot of work, so much work. And as so many people have tried to do it themselves and they're doing their day-to-day job. It's virtually impossible to be able to create a whole content strategy, execute it, and do your day job.
Absolutely. Well, especially for businesses that are trying to grow, right? Obviously, they're focused on their industry. That's what they're experts in. But then they're trying to do their own PR. They're trying to do their own social. They're trying to do their own marketing. It doesn't work because you're spread so thin. And so you have to know what you're good in, focus on that, and then either A, take the tips that we share, help put those into place so that you can begin to get yourself, grow and get yourself to a place where you're ready to say, it's time to bring in the big guns. And we are those people.
Yeah. And then we take it to the next level.
Exactly. So you have to know when to pass those things. And I know it's hard. I mean, we all have this letting go.
Everyone on our team does.
Yes.
And every founder has the same problem. I think a lot of people who love what they do have trouble giving their work to somebody else because they always think they can do it quicker and better themselves. But if you trust the process, it all gets done.
And you trust your people.
Correct. That's a huge component of it. You find the right tribe.
100%. And again, it goes back, like you said, having those people around you. I know for me, there's parts of what I do, the writing components for us that I'm like, I don't want to let it go, but I have to trust my team can get it done.
Right.
And so that's why we say to our clients, trust us, we're going to get it done.
Yeah. And hence how I trusted you to pull me into this podcast.
Yes. And then somehow you pulled me in. I thought I was just going to be the thought behind it.
I needed the celebrity journalist, the extrovert.
Okay. The one who just likes to talk and may not stop. No, I will.
Which works for me.
I know. But then we took it to another level and put it on camera.
I know. Here we are. If we're going to do it, we got to go all out.
Exactly.
You got to do it right.
But that's one of the things I love about you is that you dream big, but when you dream big, you follow through on it.
Correct.
So, and that goes hand in hand with the initiatives. We're heading into 10 years, right? And so now as we pivot to this new, I don't want to say this new time, but yes, because it's 10 years. So you're going to move 100%. It's called that legacy forward.
Yeah.
And so new initiatives, right? So we're all stepping a little bit out of our comfort zones. And I think that's the only way you grow.
100%. You have to be uncomfortable to get comfortable. And then when you're comfortable, it's time to move.
Exactly. And it's funny, that's also how we, I think, apply it to our clients, right? Like, I think at the end of the year, when I was looking at the clients that work with us and saying, okay, we've been working together for quite some time. We need to now bring some fresh new strategies because we need to take you. You've been really comfortable in what you're doing. So now we're going to bring you up a level. And what does that look like?
Yeah.
And which is nice is we got to do that with some of our clients this year or start off those thought leaders and helping them take the next step. And I think for this next decade, right, we're taking the next step personally within the company, but we're doing it for our clients too. So it's like we're thinking on both sides, if that makes sense.
It does. Well, that makes sense for us, right? Because we focus on 3 buckets: our clients, our media, and then our teams.
Right.
So we got to bring value to each of those and elevate all 3 of those buckets.
Right.
right? And then legacy forward is our theme for 2025, because every year we have a theme, because
Yep.
it helps us stay focused, stay driven as a team, and the team is incorporated into the growth.
Right.
And everyone needs an ownership of it, right? Because they need to feel like they belong, right?
Absolutely.
Of course, it's a whole part of the process and whole part of building out the tribe. So for us, the next 10 years, I guess, begin now with this podcast, dare
Yep.
I say?
I think so. And that also speaks to the fact of how you talk about the team being a family, right? Everybody, I mean, that's what it should be for every company. It's not at every company, but
Right.
at JMG, it definitely is. So when you think about that, everything starts in the home, right? You have to have a solid foundation, you have to be stable, and you have to be confident. And so once you take that and you step out into the world, everything just falls into place. And I think it starts with the team. You've built that. And that's why you've been able to grow and get the clients. They're almost, it's like they're attracted to the energy. And they know that they can trust us and that no stone is going unturned, so to speak. And they can focus on their job because we're focused on their job as well, to the other end.
I love the word energy, because I think that's important in a partnership, and especially with your PR rep and your PR team. You need to feel a connection
100%.
in order to have that rapport. They keep sharing information. You keep getting the tidbits that you can use as sound bites as far as the messaging, right? There has to be a trust system built in.
Absolutely. Well, we always talk about relationship building, right? Especially with the media. You have to establish those connections, but you need that relationship and that connection with your PR team because, again, it's a relationship. You're placing your trust, right? So these clients are placing their trust in us to take them to the next level. If we're not doing that, then they're not going to see or feel that return, right? They want to see it, they want to feel it. But I think when we have those kickoff calls, right, with our clients, they leave those calls. Number one, within hours, they're going to be getting recaps and they're going to know what's happening. But they leave feeling like, okay, I'm excited. Like, let's do it. I can't wait. They know something special is about to happen. They just don't know yet
what how it's going to evolve.
Right?
You can't really pinpoint it.
No.
And I know clients always come to us, they want the exact route of how we're going to get there. But that's the exciting part, is we really truly don't know once we start where it's going to take off and go to.
Exactly. And it could be at any moment, right? We recently, on one of our Friday calls, right? We do a Friday morning call, and all of a sudden one of our PR team was like getting a phone call for a client for something that had been, they'd been waiting for it. It was like a big opportunity. It was a great moment for our client. National TV.
We've been waiting for this client.
Right. So it's like, they're going to happen. You just don't know when they're going to come through. And literally that client had to be ready within like minutes, I think.
And they killed it because they were prepared in advance.
Exactly.
Because the strategy was to get to that point.
Exactly.
We just didn't know when.
So when that client was given that opportunity, that client was ready. Whereas if somebody called me and said, you have to be on TV in 5 minutes, I might cry.
I would die.
I would die. I might be like, no.
I need days to prepare.
I might not answer the phone.
I need weeks.
Exactly. But we prepare our clients so they don't have to say, oh my God, I have to be on TV in 5 minutes. They're ready. And they're like, okay, bring it on. Like,
he owned it. Like that
fantastic.
was his moment, and he was ready. He was fully
100%.
ready. Yeah.
So that's the thing. We can't give you the exact roadmap. We can tell you how we plan to get you there, but we can't pinpoint the moment it's going to happen because it could come at any time.
100%.
But that's the excitement.
That's what makes our job so much fun. There's so many twists and turns and unexpected opportunities and people you meet, and it's a fun gig.
100%. And that too, I think, obviously with our podcast, the goal is to bring those tips. Obviously, we're going to talk to entrepreneurs. We're going to talk to people who are establishing themselves. But we're also going to share stories to help motivate people, I think, right? So by us giving maybe some behind the scenes, right? How we just explained that shows that it's possible, right? So when you're watching something where you're just starting out and you're like, oh my God, how am I going to get from where I am now to, point A to point B? And sometimes it feels like it's a struggle. But when you hear others have done that and you hear those moments, then you say, okay, well, if they can do it, I know I can do it.
Right.
So it's motivational too. So I hope what people take from this too is obviously the lessons and the tips. Enjoy the conversations that we have. We're going to show some, sides of the PR business. We're going to talk about that. But we're just going to have fun too. And I hope people can connect with that and feel like when they end the episode, whatever we brought to the table it inspires them, encourages them, because this can be a business where sometimes you get frustrated.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And growing a brand is it's hard. It's intimidating, right? And PR can be intimidating. But what I hope, in addition to what you shared, is what I hope people take away from these podcasts are the details and the accessibility of PR, right? It doesn't have to be this scary thing, and there's small things you can implement that could really help take your brand to the next level. So I'm really excited about the conversations we're bringing to the table.
Me too.
The thought leaders we're speaking with, the founders, the influencers. We're going to cover every basis possible. So that way, when people leave the table, they have a new tactic, a new idea, and they're motivated to continue on in their PR experience.
Absolutely. I'm excited.
I am. So if you're listening in and you like what you hear, leave a review below, subscribe, or share this with a friend who needs a PR boost.
We'll see you next time.